I feel as if the most important part of studying sociology, studying society on a grand scale, is looking at social inequalities and how impactful they can be and how many misperceptions we can have about individuals' experiences. This especially is true with families. So many families grapple with various social inequalities. And so the way that I always approach social inequalities is with the same two pieces of terminology: structure and agency. And so let me go ahead and explain those, and then I'm going to talk you through how it is I explain them when I'm in person with a class. So first of all, structure is how societies take shape and are maintained, how our societies are built, how our societies are changing, how they, who has power and things. So this is how they're being maintained. Social institutions, you've heard me rail them off before, I'll do it again. Government, medical institution, the family, what we're studying this semester, the economy, education, religion, all of these different aspects of what is the shape of our society working together. So it's how the society acts on individuals. So people have different opportunities. They have different oppressions where they're being treated with discriminations or prejudice depending on some aspect of their identity. And for a lot of us, we really struggle and go, oh, no, they're not really, are they? Because we might have privilege in a certain identity. You can have either, you can be oppressed in some way where you're being mistreated, or you might, based upon your race, based upon your gender, based upon your religion, based upon your sexuality, based upon your mental health, as opposed to somebody grappling with mental health issues, possibly your citizenship, your socioeconomics. These are all areas in which you may have social privilege, and you don't necessarily realize what people are struggling with because you're not struggling with it yourself. So how society acts on individuals. It's the factors that enable or constrain behavior. We're about to talk about agency. We have structure and agency. Agency is all about how hard you work in so many ways. And so what are the factors that enable you to be a really hardworking, successful person in society or hold you back from them? And then finally, a lot of times it's the burden of inequality. It's people struggling with various stressors, people struggling with constant barrage of complications that don't allow them to achieve what our society considers to be success. What our society considers to be a success is educational achievement. Just talking to my sister yesterday, she owns an air conditioning company with her husband, and they have a hard time finding technicians to work with. And so I was kind of asking about that. And she said so many people nowadays, much like yourselves, are like college is being told and taught as the only viable option for, middle class careers. And so not as many people are going into kind of these trades as they maybe once were. And so that idea of the like possibilities for what people can achieve and what people are told and how our society is shaped. Our society is shaped in a way that we're being told, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and if you work really hard, you can make it, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you, right? There's not anything wrong with society. There's nothing unfair in society. We always seem to kind of assume, but we do it to ourselves. Like, what's wrong with me? So, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So this is structure. Structure is the way that society impacts individuals in both positive and negative ways. Agency then is how we act in society, and it's our free will and our ability to achieve. When we say how to get from A to B, A is having a societal goal, B is achieving it. Societal goal, graduating from college. B is like how you get from A to B is how you achieve that societal goal. B is achieving it, right? Having a long-term successful career that provides you with a lot of financial stability. That's A is your goal. B, like that path from A to B, is how you achieve it. And so there's lots of choices, sort of, right? And so you get to choose to a certain extent. You have free will. You can work as hard as you possibly can. And we have a lot of misconceptions about individuals that are struggling financially, that we assume that they're not working hard. Oh, if they'd only work harder. A lot of times I've heard people say, oh, if it were me, right? If they were the ones financially struggling, I would get a second job. Yeah, yes, yes. Not everybody always has the resources if they have children or something for childcare for a second job. Not everybody necessarily has the opportunity, whether it's like geographical, that there's, a profuse amount of jobs around them, that the hours work together. Like there's a lot of different things at play. And so this idea that, I would work, 17 hours a day just to, make sure that I was financially secure. Maybe you would. Maybe you would. And maybe everybody would. I don't know. But I think a lot of times when we are sitting in a place where we have what we need and we look at other people who are struggling and we make those kinds of comments, it can be really, really problematic. Because until we endure that and problem solve it and do that with numerous complications and things, I don't know. I think the biggest thing that sociology has taught me is to try. It's hard, but to try not to make these judgments, to try not to make these assumptions about people that are really fairly cruel, right? Please don't think, now that I'm saying this, that I'm sitting atop like empathy mountain where I just constantly think the most kind and generous things about absolutely everyone. I think it's something that everybody struggles with, to have to remind themselves, wait a second, what is somebody else going through? What is somebody else struggling with that I might not be struggling with, that, I need to be cognizant of, I need to be respectful of, and everything else. So okay, let's talk about that little A to B thing some more. So we have from A to B, and I was saying, societal goal and then achieving that goal. And so, like I said, there's different ways of getting around. If you look at that yellow line where it goes completely backwards, that's basically me with college. I flunked out and was able to get back on track. Now, I could act like, of course, I was able to get back on track because I worked so hard. I worked hard, absolutely. But I also had a lot of structural privilege. I had socioeconomic privilege of being a person who is in a middle class family. I had the cultural capital of being raised by two parents who had college educations. And so cultural capital is where you have like the habits and the culture in your family of a higher level of achievement. That did I do anything to deserve like being born into a family that was by virtue of our definitions of society succeeding? No. Did my parents? No. Do we deserve the privileges that we get because of our racial background or possibly our gender and fitting into gender norm? No. No, no, no. But so to act like we deserve this, we've earned it, is pretty problematic. So it's so much of what our circumstances are in life are just arbitrarily assigned to us by whatever universal or heavenly powers there may be that we all, and any combination thereof, ascribe to. And so thinking through these moments where we catch ourselves being judgmental about a person who is homeless, right? And so there's, I think, an inordinate amount of judgment that we heap upon people. Are we thinking about what they're going through? Are we thinking about what structural inequalities they may have been up against? We make assumptions a lot of times about mental health or drug usage. That's not necessarily always accurate. Quite honestly, when you look at so many people in society that are making do, they're okay, they're going through their month, and it's dicey, but it's month to month, they are okay. One major complication, whether it's some horrifying medical bill because of one thing could oftentimes really put somebody in an exceptionally dire financial position. And so thinking through that path, the setbacks and the curves and everything else, getting from A to B. What structure does is it can limit. It can also, it help you achieve, but it can very, very much limit your options, that you don't necessarily get second chances, or you don't get many opportunities to succeed in the ways that we need to succeed in order to have what we need in our society. Okay, the way that I, excuse me, teach structure and agency when I'm all together with students is I'm on usually most of my classes, especially in person, are at Cal States. And Cal State campuses, if you've ever been on them, They're gigantic. You carry, of course, a backpack with you at school because that's what you always do. But you have to like carry everything for the day because a lot of times you're leaving your car, assuming you get a chance to park your car, considering that can be really a dicey pain in the you know what at Cal State campuses. But you've got, maybe you have 3 or 4 classes in a row, so you've got a big gigantic water bottle and your lunch and all your stuff. When I'm going to classes, a lot of times I do really quirky, crazy activities. Like I will bring boxes of crayons or I don't know what else. I have this activity that I do with all these beads. I have like craft store beads. I have scissors and tape and construction paper. And I'm like thinking through all of the different supplies that I have in a cabinet. Really, honestly, if you saw me as a teacher, you'd be like, so you teach college? Because I bring so many playful things into the classroom. So a lot of times I will have, my bag that is my school bag that has my laptop, depending on if I'm on a campus where I have to carry it and use it, or, everything I need for the day. Whiteboard markers, on and on and on. Then a lot of times I'll have that extra bag that has supplies in it, and then I'll have my lunch bag because I'm also on campuses for a while. Okay, so now that I've talked you through all the details of the things that I carry them all the time. Cal State Long Beach has a hill in the middle that has like 9 flights of stairs. I will carry them up the stairs. I work at Cal State Fullerton in a building with 6 floors. The escalator only goes up to the 4th floor. I don't know why. It's just the magic of Cal State's, I say sarcastically. And then I go up 2 flights of stairs from the escalator. Like I can move around the campus all the time. This is my agency. I can carry these things, but this is my agency. I can still move around. Some days supplies or things are heavier than others, but I make do. That's my agency. Structure is my bags. Agency is the way I maneuver. Well, what I do then with my students is I ask them all to zip up their bags. I promise them I'm not going to go through them or anything. And I start picking up a whole bunch of their backpacks while I'm holding the stuff that I brought to school. I'm holding my bag. I'm holding like my extra bag of supplies. I'm holding my lunch bag. And then I think I can usually, depending on how heavy some of those bags, I don't know what students have in them, but they're so heavy. I usually can get like 6, maybe 8 bags that I'm holding. And at this point I look ridiculous. And I'm usually starting to sweat and my arms are burning and stuff. And so, I'm just thrown over my shoulders. I'm holding them up on my arms, all this stuff. I'm holding all these bags. Well, as I pick them up, I explain. One bag is if I were to have a language barrier and I was trying to navigate through not knowing English. One bag would be if I had a learning disability. One bag might be if a family member had a diagnosis, a long-term diagnosis, and I was their caregiver. One bag might be that I am just have never been able to get beyond entry-level minimum wage jobs that minimum wage does not pay in our Southern California area a living wage. So, these different complications. The thing is, I'm holding all these bags. I look ridiculous. If you talk about me trying to get around campus now, I can't do it. I mean, I could do it, but I'd have to, if I got on the escalator, I'd have to put some of them down because I wouldn't fit on the escalator because I'm so wide with all these bags. And then I'd have to pick them all up and get onto the next floor. And people behind me would be ticked because on the escalators in this one old random building, if somebody is behind you, there's this unspoken norm that you only stand on the escalator if you're on there really by yourself. If somebody's behind you, for some reason, we all start walking up the escalator, which therefore defeats part of the purpose of the escalator. But that's here nor there. But if I had all these bags that I was carrying with me on the escalator, people behind me would be waiting for me, right? So I'd be ashamed because I'm embarrassed because here people are being inconvenienced by me. But I could still do it. It would take me longer to get up the stairs. It would hurt more, but I could still do it. That's the thing, free will. We constantly point to people and go, well, look, that person did it. That person worked hard. That person was exceptional. Why can't you be like them? Right? You don't see all of the social inequalities that people are being weighed down with. You don't see them carrying around these stressors. And so when you think about it, though, you are listening to my annoying nasally voice where I talk too fast and I talk too much. You are listening to this because you're taking a college course, because you are going to earn a college degree, because you are achieving that path from A to B. And who knows what direction you've taken, but you're doing it and it's awesome. And because of that, because of the upward trajectory that your education is on and the ways that you will earn your position in our society, you will have the ability. You will be the institutionalized agents. You will be the educators. You will be the people in the medical field. You will be the people working for businesses, for organizations. You, who is listening right now, will be the person that can, instead of judging someone for their struggles, think to yourself, what might they be going through that I don't have to worry about? And you can be the person that can help them. You can be the person that can tell them how to, carry that metaphorical invisible bag, right? That inequality. Like maybe there are various, if you're grappling with a huge medical bill, like you might be the person to say there's an organization that can help you negotiate and help advocate for you. Like you can be the person to help someone, to give them the extra ideas, to give them the extra support that they may need to be able to navigate through society, that they might be working as hard as they can, but they need your help. They need your support. They need your belief. They need your kindness. A lot of this is kindness. And I don't necessarily know how kind we are. When you go back to the very beginning of this class and we talked about the 5 general standards of critical thinking, fairness. What's fair? Does everybody get a fair chance in our society? And then, as I've been talking about this in very general ways, but all of this has to do with the study of family, because family is where so many resources are needed, so many resources are required. And so hopefully by virtue of listening about structure and agency, you're starting to really question what it is you've known in society. For some of you, you know about social inequalities. When you're listening to this, you're like, yeah, no. Well, I'm not going to say a bad word there, right? No shit. I didn't say it. I did, but whatever. When you are grappling with them, you know. But for some of you, this week will really be an eye opener, like you didn't necessarily realize, because you might have privilege. And so really remembering to be cognizant of our privileges, because we all have privileges. Even if we're grappling with socioeconomic inequalities, we might have privilege because we have ability privilege, where we're not grappling with a physical or intellectual disability, something like that. We all will find that we do have privileges in our society. And so thinking through what it is, how it is we can use our opportunities, our structural privilege to try to help somebody else, and to try to the best of our ability to stop those prejudicial assumptions about what somebody might be going through.